Hello, well, welcome to Algebra 1, Semester 2. So, a couple things about Canvas. Hopefully, you already know quite a bit of it. But one of the key things, if you haven't been able to log on, is notice the web address there. It is www.astk12, k12.instructure.com. You can't just Google search Canvas. You have to either go through the ASD iSchool site and click that link, or go to asdk12.instructure.com. Once you're there, you'll be on your homepage and you'll, of course, select the 2020 Algebra 1 Semester 2 course. Right here is my homepage. Of course, this is my name, my email, and then a good number that you can text me at. Texting is fine, just not too late. If it's too late, I just won't answer it. I would say use text if it's something that feels like it needs an immediate answer, like, oh my God, my test just shut down. What can I do? Miss Lily, help me out. If it's something like, hey, I'm not understanding this question, but I'm okay if you get back to me tomorrow, then emailing me through this inbox is probably the best way. And I'm usually within 24 hours and usually within an hour get back to you. But again, if it feels more urgent, feel free to send me a text. And then if you email at this email address, it goes to the same place as emailing in the inbox would. So really either of those are fine. Some of the information here is just, my name. If you go to the syllabus, it will tell you some more information. The late work policy, 10% will be deducted after an assignment after is 1 week late, and it can go down to as much as 40% off if you're 3 weeks more than 3 weeks late. So, especially in this fast-paced course, you need to be logging on every day. There's an assignment due every day, and so you want to make sure you're logging on every day, right? You'll see mine isn't very big, so mine's down at the bottom here, but you have a to-do list already. And notice that we've got things due today, right? Or sorry, not necessarily today, the first day that you're on, which you might get this before that, but we've got things due June 8th. We've got two assignments due June 9th, another assignment due June 10th. And because we are trying to do a semester's worth of work, in 6 weeks, it is every day. You're welcome to work faster. And if you get a day or two behind, that's not the end of the world. But you do want to make sure you're getting on, getting active. Don't get too far behind. What happens when you get too far behind is it just kind of increases your anxiety and then your desire to cheat to get things done. And that just doesn't go well for anybody, right? So do stay on, stay active. All right, Module 0, we'll start there. Right here is Module 0. You'll see a welcome letter for me, some ASD iSchool policies and procedures, some resources, the orientation quiz, which you do need to complete, and then this Proctor U. One of the things to keep in mind, and I did mention cheating, and I'm going to go a lot heavier into cheating in a moment, but read through the policies and procedures. There's definitely some strict guidelines for that, some strict policies for that. The main thing I want to talk about is Proctor U. If you have not used Proctor U before, we are going to do Proctor U for some of our tests, not all of them. Hopefully you are going to adhere to strict policies and guidelines on making sure it is your own work anyway. But definitely on the Proctor U test, you will be filmed while you're testing. You need to put up your student ID so that they know it's you. And if you do anything suspicious, like turn your camera off or start looking at things on your phone, Proctor U will alert me. And then potentially you could receive a 0 on your test. So please make sure that we are testing like we're in the classroom, like we're being watched by a teacher, because when you're being watched by Proctor U, you kind of are, right? So read through this. You'll have to create a username and password. You're going to make sure to select the Anchorage School District. There will be, it may say something about funding and you have to pay money. You have to pay nothing. We pay for it. It's all taken care of. You don't have to pay for anything. You do need to make sure that you have the right test equipment. So you do need to make sure you have a video camera. Once you've finished, you're done. But things to keep in mind, Safari does not work with Proctor U, so you have to be on Chrome, and Firefox would work, but Chrome is the best. The Proctor U extension, it has to be every time. So each exam will include instructions on how to do this, but then it'll say something about putting in an access key. If you see something about an access key and you can't get past it, that means you're not logged into ProctorU. Okay. And so you have to make sure you're logged in, you're ready to go. All right. Chromebooks may not work with ProctorU. It is preferred to use a laptop or desktop, and contact iSchool if that's all you have. And then of course, let me know. And then once you're done, you'll take the quiz. Right here, this link right here is how you're going to sign up to ProctorU. Make sure you have the extension and everything. And if you're done, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to pause 1 second. All right, and if you're done and you've done everything right, this is from another browser because this doesn't pull it up because it doesn't pull up Chrome. But if you're done, what you'll see is you'll see this little owl up here, right? And that owl is the ProctorU extension. And again, if you can't get into a test and it says you need an access code, chances are you're not logged in. Click on that little owl. Click on log in your username, and then you should be able to open up from there. So it's kind of an important thing for ProctorU. Now, remember, we're going to have ProctorU on some tests and not on others. Keep in mind that it is so important that you do your own work. And most of these tests and quizzes have been out there and you can look up answers. However, I've changed the numbers. So if you look up answers and just copy and paste what you find online, I'm going to know because you're going to copy and paste answers with numbers that don't make any sense to the problem you have. Okay, so make sure you are doing your own work. And I know that there are challenges to this program and there are challenges to the way they word stuff. And sometimes it's hard to learn math online, and I get that. So one of the things that I have built in to help you, so let's say we've gone through all the Module 0 stuff. We've answered all those questions, the ProctorU, the orientation quiz. And then from there, how we can navigate. There's 2 ways we can navigate. One, from our homepage, we are in semester 2, so we would start with Module 6. You can click on Module 6, or you can click up here on Modules, and it would pop everything up. But let's click on Module 6. So here it is, our first module, and it tells us to this 6.0, and it talks about what we're going to do, and it says, hey, have you already done these things? Yes, we have. We would click on Next, and there's a pretest. The pretest is just for you. It's not graded. You can take it over and over and over again. It gives you points, but that's more just so you know where you're at. But you're not going to get, like if you get a 0 out of 22, that's not going to affect your grade, your overall grade in any way. Then we come to this next one and it says, hey, the reason we can't open this is because we haven't completed the prerequisites. So I'm going to pause and come out of, actually, you know what? I'm just going to leave student view. And then go through it that way. So that's, you will have to do that to open it up. But once you're here, here's your 6.01, right? And so this is, we're going to read through all this information. It's going to tell us, give us essential questions. We're going to come to the next page and how we navigate. I've got 2 next buttons here. Let me see if I can get to it here. I've got 2 next buttons, and on the bottom there's next. And on the top here, right around home, I've got these arrows, right? If I use the next button on the bottom, which for some reason it's not letting me to every time, but there we go. It takes me all the way to a whole new page. I don't want to go to a whole new page, right? I didn't learn anything in 6.01. I just read what I'm starting with, right? So to navigate in 6.01, I do need to use the arrows up here. So I'm going to make sure to click on that arrow there. That's going to take me to page 2. And again, I'm going to read through page 2. And I'm going to, read all their information. I'm going to watch. There's a video here. It's my screen is formatted so funny. Some of the videos and stuff don't pull up as nice. But you're going to read through, watch any videos, try any problems, pull down after you think you've come up with an answer, right? You're going to practice and you're going to click on the next and you're going to go to page 3. And again, it's going to ask you, it's going to show you some examples. You're going to read through. Click on the next, click on the next. So the reason I'm showing this is I've had students that go and all of a sudden they're like at the quiz and they're like, there was no information. Well, you have to make sure you start on the 6.01, not go directly to the quiz. You have to go through everything. 2, when you are looking at these things and you're confused, so I'm on page 4 and I'm looking at this bar graph and I cannot for the life of me figure out how they came up with these down here. And I'm not saying that's going to happen to you, but let's say that's what you're looking at and you're like, where did they get oranges, apples, blueberries, and bananas? Or where did they get this? what I want you to do if that happens is I want you to send me an email. And I want you to say, Ms. Foley, on module 6.01, right? I'm in module 6.01, and I'm on page 4. And I'm looking at the bar graph that has the oranges, apples, blueberries, bananas, and strawberries on the bottom, and I don't know where they're getting any of that. And the reason I want you to be so specific on what your question is then I can make you a video just explaining that bar graph or that piece of information. If all you email me and say is, I don't get 6.1 at all, well, where do we start? What are your questions, right? And maybe you don't understand it at all, and then we do need to maybe meet in Zoom and have a bigger conversation. But if you understand most of it and you just don't understand this bar graph, well, then you tell me that, and you and I have an easier starting point. And then I'm not reteaching you things that you understood. I'm only focusing on the things that you struggled on, right? And so that would just be really helpful for me. And then 2, if you don't want to meet in Zoom and you just like, oh, it's just a quick question, I wish I could just ask Ms. Foley, then just email me and I'll make a video like this one, and that'll help as well. So you don't feel like you have to meet in Zoom just to ask where the oranges label came from, right? And then we come to the next page here, and I think it's on usually the second to last page, has some practice problems. I'm going to make videos going over those practice problems and walking you through how they got their answers. I would highly recommend that you first try it. First, try the problem. After you try the problem, check your answer. If your answers are right and you're feeling confident, you don't have to do anything else. That's great. If your answers are wrong and you kind of get what they're doing, that's when you maybe want to go to my videos, okay? And so I'm going to make videos on all these, walking through how they get these answers. And then what I would do is I would try them on my own. If I don't get them, I'm going to watch the video. After I watch the video, I'm just going to go back and retry them. I'm going to make sure I understand what I just learned in that video. Because if I watch that and I still am confused and I still can't do the problems, then I need to email my teacher, Ms. Foley, me, and say, hey, I still don't understand activity 1, question 1. Can you please explain that differently? Can you please help me out? Okay. Then we go to page 6. And page 6 just basically says, hey, make sure you kind of understand all this stuff. And if you understand all this stuff, you can go to the assessment. Now, if I click next on the bottom, it's taking me to this screen. This is the screen that I created that has an explanation of the video of those problems, those practice problems. Okay. And again, if those still don't make sense, feel free to email or text me, because we can either meet up in Zoom, or maybe you're just like, oh, just can you explain one differently? I can make another video. But that's how I'm going to support you. Okay. And then from there, I've done everything. I feel confident. Now I'm going to hit next. And when I hit next, I'm going to go to the quiz, and it may or may not, it's actually might not let me on this screen. Oh, no, I was in the wrong thing. Sometimes things don't open up right. I'm going to go to this quiz. This quiz says, hey, by the way, I'm graded. By the way, it's out of 10 points. There's no time limit. Actually, that's not true. I think I'm going to set a 45-minute time limit on that. So I'm going to fix that. So that should say 45 minutes. However, if you're worried about time limits, let me know. From there, I did say you can see the correct answers, but at the same time that means you want to get it right the first time. And I think actually, nope, that's probably true. And so what's going to happen here is you want to treat this like homework. So when it comes to these they're called graded quizzes. They're not quizzes per se, they're homework. They are one time only, but mainly that is just so that you take it seriously and don't just redo it, and are just getting the answers, not really learning the concepts. But if you really do struggle on these, I would say all of these you can use notes, and then reach out to me. If you're like, I got a 2 out of 10, I need to review it. What I'll probably make you do is you and I kind of review, go over, talk about a few things, and then I'll reopen it for a second try. Okay, some things when we go back to the modules here. So just to kind of, if you're in modules, some things to keep in mind. When we look at that, this module here, this 6.01 representing data with this little like linking thing, that's where you get all the information. That's where you learn. That's where they teach you all the concepts. This is my videos, the one that has like the little page looking thing, the videos to the solution, and the ones with the rockets with the points down there, That's the assignment. Do not open that up and start that until you're ready. If you haven't gone through the other concepts, you're not ready. Don't open that quiz and get started. Make sure you go through and learn the concepts. Reach out to me if you're confused. And then the same thing, and then you start on 6-2 and you do the same thing. You go through the lesson, you watch my video explaining the practice problems if you're not understanding them, and then you take the quiz. Okay? I say quiz. I would treat those as homework assignments. However, once we get to a couple things down here, same thing right here, this module 6.04 quiz. Okay. This quiz here, that is a quiz, right? And so we're going to put our notes aside. We're going to try to take that, with our knowledge, because we're thinking about like we would a quiz in class, right? We're going to take it with what we know. We're going to do our best. We're not going to look up answers. And that's how we're going to take those quizzes, right? Then we come down here and you'll notice some of that isn't highlighted for you. It is for me, but then we take our test. We have a test information, and then we have our actual Chapter 6 test. And again, that's through ProctorU. The first test is absolutely ProctorU. You absolutely need to be ready to take it. Make sure you go through some of these other concepts first, and that you're ready to go. I believe, there's a practice test. I would highly recommend taking that before you even dream about taking the test. If you go through the practice test and you get an 11 out of 22, you want to reach out to me before you start the test and say, hey, can we go over some of those problems? You take the practice test, you get a 21 out of 22, you're probably ready to go, right? So hopefully that helps with some of this navigation. Again, I want to be very clear, like even when we look at this quiz here, it definitely talks about, I guess it doesn't on here, but when we look at the preview of the quiz, and I'm going to try to preview it without showing any questions. All right, I cannot, but there are instructions on the quiz that basically do say, hey, by the way, if you look up answers on any portion of this test, if you cheat in any way, that you will receive a 0. So please make sure that you are not just trying to get the easy way out here on these assignments, because again, once you're caught cheating, it's a 0 on that assignment, and then 2, it just puts us on footing that we don't want to be on with each other. I would like to say the quizzes do allow 2 attempts, and so when it comes to the quizzes, if the first time doesn't go well, go back and restudy and try again. But don't just try again, because if you don't actually do some studying, it's not going to help you very much, right? All right. But otherwise, as I said, make sure to reach out if you have any questions or concerns. And I look forward to working with you all. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.